Hi, this is Luke from Banana Llama Studios, and today I want to talk to you about 5 songwriting tips, count them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, songwriting tips that are going to help take your songwriting to the next level. In all seriousness, I think these will actually be really helpful, so stick around and we're going to talk about those right now. So what I wanted to do with these songwriting tips is find tips that I felt were really actually super valuable for you as a songwriter. I know there's plenty of songwriting tips out there, and so what I did is I looked for songwriting tips from famous songwriters and picked 5 that I felt could have the most impact quickly if you were to then apply those, say, for a 30-day period. Sort of like a habit-changing type exercise. So with these 5 tips, I don't expect you to apply them all at once. I think, apply one, get into the habit of doing it, get the benefits from it, and then try another one, or keep doing the one you're doing and then try a new one. So these are I think, highly effective tips that are going to really help you and take you to the next level, and they are from famous songwriters who are successful. Tip number 1, copy the music you love. Okay, now I've heard this mentioned a few times from various songwriting teams. By copying, I mean actually copying. I mean not trying to write something that's like it, but actually copying a song that you really like, or maybe you dislike. That could be a kind of cool exercise as well. And by that I mean getting in there, taking it apart, and then recording the parts. So if you're a DAW user, you're a producer and a songwriter, and you want to try and actually put it back together, I think there's a huge value in that. It's like, taking an old watch and, seeing all the parts inside. You take it apart, you kind of see how all the gears mesh together and how, beautifully put together it is. It's the same kind of principle. You see the craft and the craftsmanship when you take it apart like that and then you put it together. So I'm talking about recreating the drum track, recreating the bass line, recreating the key and synth part, guitars, or whatever it might be, to actually recreate that song. And by doing that, you're actually really getting into the minutiae of actually creating a song that is then going to inform you and guide you in your own songwriting process. So I think copying a song like that can be hugely powerful. If you're not someone who actually gets in there and plays around with loops and things like that and virtual instruments, you might want to try doing the next best thing, which is a book report or a mix report or in this case, a song report. And so what you want to do is you want to listen to that, and you sit down with a piece of paper, you listen to it at least 5 times, and you listen, what are the drums doing? If you know a bit of music theory, maybe you could even transcribe it a bit. Or, again, you're really just trying to take it apart and understand how it's put together so that you understand the craft and the craftsmanship of that songwriting. Number 2, co-write. Now, this is directed at myself because I've been songwriting for many years, and it's quite easy to get into a bit of a habit of going, I've got the studio here, I've got my instruments, and so it's quite easy to just go, I'm just going to, do my thing here, and sure, I can do that quite well. But there's something wonderful that happens when you get in the room with other people and other songwriters who have different ideas than you. I've heard it being described as going dating. You're actually trying to meet people, try it out, see what it's like. Are you going to click with this person? And maybe you will, but maybe it's not in the most obvious way, so you won't know unless you get in a room with them. And you can do this virtually as well. I think that's obviously, I've done that before, where you send tracks away and then people send back tracks with their parts in it. But I think if you can, get into the room with somebody, and it's just good fun. I think sometimes it can help unblock that creativity if you've got other bodies with you in a room. Give it a try. Give the co-writing thing a try. I think it will help push you along as a songwriter. Number 3, actually release your music. That might sound pretty obvious, but I think that there is a tendency to record songs, write songs, and then sit on them. And you kind of get them to a point, and then it's kind of like there's this little thing inside that says, oh yeah, I'll get back to that. And then you get onto a new song, you get excited about that song, and you leave these other songs kind of sitting there, and they don't get released. And I think that that's an obvious one, but it's also something that if you purposefully just go, look, I'm going to release the songs and have a strategy to that, you're going to get better as a songwriter, because you're going to be putting music out there and you're going to be seeing how people respond to that. And that's really powerful. I remember hearing an anecdote by Adele, her song Rolling in the Deep. She recorded that and forgot about it and didn't think it was that great a song and didn't think it would go anywhere. That was kind of the vibe that I was getting from this interview I'm reading. And it blew up. And it's massive. Okay. And so often that's another aspect of it, is we sometimes kind of think, oh, look, it's not that great. It's not one of our strongest. And then you release it and people just go nuts over it. You know, if you don't release the music, how are you ever going to know? So I think that would be another thing as a songwriter, encouraging you to release music. So if you've got music sitting there that you haven't been finishing, finish it, release it, get it out there, have a plan, you know, set a deadline. And that way you're going to get feedback about your music. Playing live is also another way of doing it, obviously. I think that's a really valuable way. But interesting, I just have to introduce this story from the guys who Eiffel 65, I think they are, who wrote Blue. I'm blue, dabba dee dabba die. I didn't need to do that, but I just wanted to. They actually finished it. They, took it down to a club, played it. It cleared the dance floor, and nobody was into it. So they kind of shelved it. They ended up pressing, I think, 1,000 copies or something, put it out there, and the rest of the story. That song became a massive hit, whether you like it or not. And then it, made them, quite big stars and quite significant income from that particular song. Number 4, don't discount your demos. So the demo recording process is something that kept coming up time and time again in the interviews that I was reading from famous songwriters, that, recording your demo. So even just having a smartphone running with, a voice recorder can be hugely valuable, because, and I think yourself, if you've ever been in the studio, the difference between you playing something and being in that moment of playing something versus listening back to what you've done are two different experiences. And sometimes you think, oh, that was terrible, that wasn't a great take, or there was nothing there. Then you listen back and you go, oh, actually, that was really good, and I think we'll keep that. So I think having a voice recorder running the whole time that you're songwriting, especially if you're doing some co-writing or something like that, and then just kind of listening back to it if you're commuting or whatever, if you've got some time, if you work in an office or something, you can put some headphones on and just listen back to that track, and then kind of go, oh, there's a good part, go back to 10 minutes and 15 seconds to listen to something really cool. So the demo is really important as well. And again, I'm going to use Adele as an example. The vocal you hear on Rolling in the Deep is her demo vocal that she wrote on the day that, because she had stuff with a boyfriend and all this kind of thing, and he broke up with her and told her she'd be nothing. And so there was this emotion and this power to not only what she was singing, but how she was singing it. And that ended up going on the final recording, and that song went crazy. Get yourself set up as well so you can demo easily. I think if you've got a studio, set it up so that you can quickly and easily demo stuff and get it down in good quality as well, in case it turns into the final take. Number 5, and I think for me this is probably the most crucial of all the tips. If you're not already doing this, then this is probably the place to start, and I've kind of left it to the end, but sometimes we remember the things at the end than at the beginning. I think this, if you're not already doing it, like I said, is probably one of the most powerful things that you can do as a songwriter, and that is make time to songwrite. Actually put it into the calendar, whether it's daily, whether it's every second day. I think, make it a regular and consistent thing. Not only will it push you forward as a songwriter because you're doing it regularly, but it will also inspire you, because you actually can kind of look back in 2, 3, 4 weeks' time and go, hang on, I've done all this songwriting. And I was talking to a friend of mine who's a photographer, and she did a challenge where she was trying to take a photo every single day. And she said, I grew so much in that time when I was taking a photo every day as a photographer, even though it may not have been, the best photos that she's ever done, but she learnt so much in doing that and regularly doing it. So if you can do that and then keep doing it and make that a habit so that you're getting 5 to 10 hours a week songwriting, if not more, that's hugely powerful. That's going to transform your songwriting. So I think this tip number 5 is my most powerful and most effective. And if you can just do it for 30 days, I think it will inspire you to go, okay, I need to make this my thing. And if you want to know who was the famous songwriter who kind of gave me this idea, it was Ed Sheeran. They were writing the song Shape of You. That was a 1.5 hour writing session that he went to, and then he basically, after that, they'd written the song, boom, okay, done. And he moved on and did another 2 writing sessions after that, probably another 1.5. So he's probably writing for 6 hours that day. And out of it came, a song. I think it was number one Billboard hit. You don't have to be a pop music songwriter. I'm just talking about successful songwriters, okay, and the habits that they employ. And you don't have to reach that kind of level of industry acclaim or anything like that. That's not the point. I'm talking about practical things that we can do as songwriters, myself included, that help grow us and help us be better songwriters. So I hope those 5 things have been helpful for you. If you've got any questions, you've got any comments, anything that you think you could add to that, look, this is only 5. There's plenty more out there. So if you've got ideas, leave them in the comments. I appreciate that. Thank you for listening, and all the best with your music making.